crankshaft is in and the camshaft is all timed and everything. Before I put this cover on, I got some grease and put on the chain, because if I put oil on it, it's just gonna drain off. So to give it a nice bit of lubrication when the engine first starts, I've greased the chain up, and I put some oil in this tensioner, but the oil's gonna come out anyway because it's up like this. So just before I go to start the engine, I'm going to take this tensioner off and fill it with oil, and then it will be that way and the oil won't drain out. So the next task is to fit the pistons. When I had that engine block rebored in 1995, these are the pistons that they had, and they bored it to this, and they made the bore 1.145, so that gave a nice tooth-hour clearance. Now, a couple of months ago, I asked a question on Facebook about this ring here, because I realised this is different to the standard pistons. The pistons that came out of the factory didn't have these. So what people were saying is that in a new engine, you don't want this extra oil ring here because it wipes too much oil off. You know, you need lots of lubrication in the bores when the engine's new, and these rings can be fitted later if you if the engine starts burning oil. You can fit this type of piston. Now this piston is called a specialized one. Now a guy called Grant Anderson, he's helped me a lot on this car, and he mentioned, he said, is the pin, gudgeon pin, is it offset? Now that was the first time ever that I knew anything about gudgeon pin offset, and I did actually measure it. I put a straight edge on here and there is no offset. Now in the book it says there should be 60 thou offset. I then got looking around online and I was lucky enough to find a set of Hepalite pistons that have the correct offset. So I don't know if this is going to show up. Probably not, you can't really see it, but it is, the pin is actually offset in that direction, like that. And the other good thing, which I was a bit worried about, the other good thing is that these pistons are a thou bigger than the other ones that I had. So that meant, that's good news, because that meant then I could lap the block to suit these pistons. So I lapped it to what it should be. Actually it should be 3.146, and that is exactly 20 thou over the standard bore size for these cars. When you fit pistons, they only go in one way. Now there's a stamped on here is front, and it's because they're offset. Obviously if you had it round the other way, the offset will be in the wrong direction, and I've put each number on there because this has to go in number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, because the con rods have numbers stamped on there. So this con rod is number 3, so that goes with that one, and that's got to go in number 3 bore. The first thing is to make sure that all the bores are absolutely spotless and absolutely clean. Now I've turned the crankshaft for this number 1 to the bottom of the stroke, so that this won't hit it as I push the piston in. And the con rod has got front stamped on it, so it's going to go that way, like that. Most important, to put loads of engine oil on all the bores. And also on all the rings and all over the piston. You can't have too much oil. That's what I think anyway. I put these 3 marks on here so that I can line up the ring gaps. So you have 1 ring gap there, 1 there and 1 there. It's 3 rings. So if I had the 2 compression rings in line there, then all the gases are going to go down and damage the piston, especially if they was all lined up. So you don't do that. So you put them 120 degrees apart. So the second one will go there and the third one will go there. Like that. Doesn't have to be spot on, but as long as they're not in line, that's the important part. So then I'll put it in first before I put the compressor on, and this band will go towards the block. Got to be careful not to move the rings. I'll undo that a bit more. And then put that one like that. And then do it up as tight as I can. You've got to get this compressor right up so that the rings don't come out. They'll only spring out when when they're in the block. Do it up as tight as you can. Well, and this is all level all round here, so I know it's all against the block. I just tap that in. That needs to go round a bit. Don't want to go too mad, just and that's in. Got some oil in there. Right, that's it. Alright, okay, so number 1 is on this side, so this is most important. This goes round the right way. That's that. I'm just going to nip these up. I'm not going to tighten them right down yet. Right, so that's number 1 done. The torque settings for these big end caps is 20 to 25. Now I think this torque wrench is reading a bit low, so I've got it on 25. Now we've got these funny little lock washers, and they are 2.5 to 3 pounds foot. And I reckon the reason they got these is because they didn't want to add any more weight to the big end, but they wanted a way of locking the nuts on. This is a small torque wrench or torque screwdriver, but the numbers on here have never been right. So what I've done is I've just calibrated this, and I've got a bit of metal that's a foot long, and I put it on here, and I've got some water that weighed 2 pounds 10 ounces, which is kind of mid limit. So now I'm just going to do this up, see if it strips it or not. Oh, see now, right, that's sliding now. That's quite good. So I think that will do it. So now I'm more confident now that these are done up to the correct torque setting. Right, all these nuts are all done up, torqued up correctly. As a recap, the small end clamp bolt is done up to 15 to 18 pounds per foot. The big end nut is done up to 20 to 25 pounds per foot. These little lock washers are done up to 2.5 to 3 pounds per foot, and the main bearings, they're done up to 55 to 60 pounds foot. Right, now I'm going to fit the oil pump. Now you can't just put the oil pump in there and do the 2 bolts up, because the distributor is driven off of this dog here. It has to be orientated correctly. Now in the book it's talking about large D and small d, because this is offset. This is the large D and this is the small d. So in the book for these cars, the large D has to be pointing towards the front of the car. So you have to keep trying it until it looks the same as a book. I'm going to show a picture of the book. What I forgot to mention was it needs to be at top dead center on the compression stroke. So the piston is at the top and both the cam followers are down, so that means both the valves are closed, so it's on the compression stroke. The line on the front pulley is lined up. It's lined up there, so that's the point at which you time the engine. So the pump is timed. So now all I need to do is put the distributor in and check. There is a clamp there. I'm not going to put it in at the moment. Now that is connected, and this is number 1 plug lead here, and so I'll turn it until the point's just open. So that is the position. Now I've checked the pipe work, and the pipe work it comes round like this and then it fixes on one of these screws here, so I know that is the correct position for that distributor. I got confused about the position of this simply because of this cap, and someone has scratched the lead numbers on here. Now this is where are we? Yeah, this is number 1 here, so it goes that way. This is number 1. So at one point someone has put number 1, which is correct, but then changed their mind and made this one number 1, this 2, this 4, and there's 3, and that is the correct firing order. So that got me confused. I don't know what's happened there, but this is the correct position because I've seen pictures of people's cars they kindly sent me, and the console is in this kind of 45-degree angle here. Now the 6-cylinder ones seem to be more power. This seems to be more parallel with the block. Right, well I'm ready to put the sump on now. That's all done. But before I put the sump on, I'm going to lube the cams because they are more likely to wear than anything if there's no oil when the engine first starts. So I'm going to put loads of this running in paste on here. That will stay on there, and so that will protect this cam. That's as far as I'm going to go with this video because I've already decided not to fit the cylinder head and do that when it's in the car. That'll make it a bit easier for me to fit the engine block into the car. I've done the clutch, but the problem is I've just measured from the clutch to the front pulley, and the engine bay is not so wide as this from the back to the front. So I might take that off and that off, but even then it's very, very tight. The other option is to buy a gadget that you can put on here, and it allows you to tilt the engine. That would be the best option, to tilt it like that and then lower it and then put it level and then do the engine mountings up. That's the theory. So I'm at the point now where I could fit this block to the car, but I've still got to spray the bodywork, and I'm going to strip all the paint off to bare bodywork. Or I could leave this in the corner of the garage and respray the car. So I don't really know what's the best thing to do. The other problem I've got is, to spray it properly, I need to take the windscreen out and the windscreen rubbers out. Now, I could probably get it out, but I might have a problem getting it back. So anyone that's got any thoughts about fitting this engine and doing the screens, front and back screens, please give a comment, and because I'm undecided what to do next. So that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.